but I did it to werD's name instead. Right?
Now, I know what you did there, now I'm extra confused.
It can be difficult, being around me and listening to me talk.
Because Drew is also a separate person than werD. And for a second I believed you that it is werD. Or it is Drew. God damn it.
Hey Kwong,
yes, sir.
Are you getting like a bit of an audio delay versus the video, or is that just me?
I usually have the audio off, but...
Oh, okay, so it doesn't matter for you.
But yeah, now that I turn on the audio, yeah, there's a bit of a delay. And kind of
I guess it's not that big of a deal.
After this game, I'll reset the stream and see if that fixes it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not really like the audio for me specifically really matters in terms of the commentary and stuff, so, you know, it's not a big deal. Grøh versus Ivy. Anytime I think about this matchup, I think about when the game was first out, when this matchup was impossible. But it's probably gotten significantly better. Also, this is the first time I think I've seen Vesper's Grøh.
Yeah, he's typically a Nightmare main. It feels like he's experimenting with a bunch of characters. So it's a conversation I'd like to have with him one day. It's kind of like what his mindset is with you know, experimenting with different characters and see what the non-Nightmare characters he seems to be comfortable with. But getting this Grøh to A5, so we can already assume like a good amount of playtime with different matchups online and what have you.
Yeah, at least a solid amount of grinding. I was never all that happy with this matchup, especially online, but then again, you know, you're talking about a character that has significantly large amounts of guard damage, but I would say that one of the things that Grøh is known for is kind of having those sidestep evasion type things, which aren't necessarily, I would say, the strongest against a character like Ivy. As you can kind of see there, there's plenty of stuff that catches sidestep with her typical kind of pressure, so it's not really something that you can rely upon all that well.
Gotcha. That's interesting you say, because at first glance I was like, okay, so Grøh shouldn't have any trouble getting in. But getting in doesn't seem to be the issue as much as just having Grøh's evasion tools, which are typically kind of a strong suit for Grøh, not being that useful against Ivy's ability to kind of catch that movement.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. And I would also say that I think Vesper needs to work on his wall rising punishment, which used to be one of the weakest in the entire roster, but ever since he got Lightning Slash, it's significantly better. But then again, you also have Soul Charge. Wow, nice bait on the Soul Charge activation, Vesper. Solid one.
Oh, and yeah, so no meter for CE to get that guaranteed. But cleans up the round anyway. Now we're tied in rounds for game 1.
You see how, when werD was able to get into this weird standing mix-up situation post Soul Charge, I think it seemed very clear that what Vesper wanted to do was 6-6A, but the majority of the stance pressure that Ivy has in that situation is going to catch that. So he might be a bit perplexed as to what to do.
And werD having some Grøh knowledge, just doing the step up to deal with the long-range Steed of the Night raw mix-up, rather raw transition. And
so unfortunately, one of the main things that Vesper's having a tough time with is breaking the grabs. Yep. At that point, I'm not even sure that he would be able to break that third one, simply because he was already sidestepping. So who's to say if the game was going to take one of the inputs, therefore you're not going to get the neutral break that you're needing?
Yeah, unfortunately, online it's hard to say whether he actually has a plan to break them. You almost have to just it has to be actively in your mind to look for the CS and then break it, because the moment that you're just not thinking it, you're kind of your break window is gonna just be too late and you just get CS.
Or you do stuff you just start mashing tech crouches, so you don't even have to worry about it. But that being said, that's very much one of Grøh's weakest suits. Nightmare, a bit better with it, with the stances and stuff.
Oh, I'd say so. Just at least if you just get a duck that forces the CS to whiff, you know, Nightmare's whip punish game is actually very strong, despite his block punishment game being a tad weaker, especially if he's not in Terror Charge.
You know, when I think about the differences between Grøh versus Nightmare, especially with regards to Ivy, I would think that Nightmare is actually better at most things, including just getting a gigantic amount of damage off of single hits and guard damage, you know, just in general. The one thing that Grøh is better at than Nightmare is potentially just block punishment and having a better mid-range kind of game with pokes and stuff, but that's not really a kind of skill that's required in the Ivy matchup. You're not really at mid-range all that much. You're either interface or you're across the screen.
Yeah, but even with like block punishment, Grøh is like just like really just average. Like 14 frames, like a BB. 12 frames is just like an AA to
second best BB in the game. But yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and like second best in the game because it'll help you like contest neutral and all that. But with the block punishment a little bit, I think just the sheer whip punishment damage that Nightmare has, especially in Terror Charge, kind of makes up for the fact that he doesn't have as good of a block punishment game as Grøh.
And that's definitely what we're seeing in this set. I definitely feel like if werD ends up losing this, he's almost assuredly going to want to change the stage, because you really don't want to deal with a small box. That seems to be the way that he's been losing here. So he decides to spend both bars. That's going to do it. I had to spend a lot of resources for that round, but definitely seems like we're getting into a little bit of a spaghetti type of match, where it seems like we're just trying to solve the issue with as many different buttons and combinations of panic buttons as you can possibly come up with, which can work for a while. I don't know if it's a fully lasting plan though.
And I like
you have to deal with double Soul Charge Nightmare.
All right. Okay. Perfect guarded a little bit of that, but still got some chip damage in. Soul Charge is gone, but it still gets Terror Charge, so he can still potentially win this in just 2 hits. And that's 1. Okay, 3 hits. I lied.
I wonder, so I assume Vesper's going to try and spend his other bar now, or is he not? Okay, he decides not to. So he goes into it with double bar against quite literally 0 resources. I feel like running up and immediately doing, just like whatever you can, just immediately doing Soul Charge is definitely the way to go. Hasn't gotten a guard break yet, which I find interesting. He could change that right away.
Okay, great. Using those defensive options to get the reverse mix-up. I mean, look at that damage coming from the Nightmare. Like, who cares about Ivy reverse mix-up? Like, you just have, like, just raw damage there. Like, Ivy has a reverse mix-up in the sense of, like, she can, 2-2A, 2-1-4B, but just, like, compared that to, like, what that Half-Life combo that we just saw from Nightmare, like, it's definitely good to be on a character that can just, like, easily win the damage race.
Yeah, none of those options in terms of evasion actually beat Nightmare and Terror Charge doing force block kind of situations, and I think that's something that Vesper was able to pick up upon after the first round that he lost, where he realized, well, this guy really wants to do some stuff, so if I just do where, like, the only way to get around this is by blocking, then I should be okay. Now, werD has significantly more room to run on this stage, but he also has the potential of getting wrung out from basically the middle of the stage, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh yeah, Nightmare is best in the game in a lot of things, and definitely ring edge carry is definitely one of them.
Yeah, it's really stupid. I wish they would. I wish they would get rid of that.
It's like, you get hit by Nightmare, you either just die from the raw damage, or die from a ring out, or die from a wall combo. Wait, here's Terror Charge.
He broke the command grab.
Oh yeah, so he was possibly looking for it.
It's the first one. Alright, well, he gets a good punish on the second one. Maybe we're looking a little bit desperate.
Yeah, it definitely helps that that Vesper is using like the top tier backstep that Nightmare has. It can force whips like pretty well.
He definitely seems to be getting more comfortable with the ranges that werD wants to play, and is able to, not necessarily mid-range, but kind of like this 1.5 character spacing, where he allows werD to kind of like make a mistake, and then you only need to do that 2 or 3 times per round in order for Nightmare to win. Or depending on what the situation is, you might be able to just do it in 1.
Exactly, like Nightmare has almost like 0 issues with whip punishment. Arguably one of the best whip punish characters in the game. At the cost of like other things, not having a 12 frame, etc. But that's going to be CE. It's going to scale. I'm not sure it's going to kill. She does have guts, but
now I do appreciate the fact that I'm seeing a lot of like 2-2A from the Ivy player. One of the main things you always want to try to get used to whenever you're playing against Nightmare is to, like you said, he's one of the best characters in the game at a lot of things, right? But he's also very polarizing in the sense of he's the worst character in the game at a lot of things as well. And so you have to harp on those weaknesses. So he doesn't really have an option of beating stuff like 2-2A.
It always tries to eat a 6K Nightmare Soul Charge.
Getting some guard damage, but not necessarily a whole bunch. Oh wow, okay. Gets Terror Charge out of that.
He can just clean this up in the next hit. Almost! That was a glancing blow. That would have possibly killed if he had all of the hits of that drill, but it doesn't matter. He cleans up the round anyway.
A 50 damage glancing blow. Mid-screen, that's safe.
Yeah, it was just a little bit closer. It would definitely
And
would have
catch
been
a
more.
sidestep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Again, I do appreciate the fact that that werD is going with stuff that's negative into things like a GI. Definitely something that you can do against Nightmare. And Vesper immediately starting to adapt it by doing like a jump kick as opposed to where he was originally just trying to do a typical I-14. So some solid adaptation, and that's going to be it, right?
Might kill, yeah.
Oh, that has
that's
to kill, right? I mean, he was below yellow. Good job, Vesper.
That was
You have
fantastic.
done it.